wife worked as an escort while in college. My wife, 34F, and I, 34M, have been married for almost 5 years. We have good jobs, a nice house, and we have 2 young kids. We have known each other since middle school, and we dated on and off through high school. We had been apart for several months when she went off to college in a different part of the country, while I went to a state school not far from home. We saw each other occasionally during those years when she was home for the summers and Christmas, and we hooked up a couple of times, but we kept it casual and didn't have much contact otherwise while she was away. I saw other people during that time. After college she moved back to this area, and we both lived in the same city. So we eventually started seeing each other again. It became serious, and we ended up getting engaged and got married a few years later. She is the most today I fucked up a woman I've ever seen, is my best friend and the love of my life. The weekend before last, we had our COVID bubble couple, my wife's best friend and her husband, over for dinner, and had a few drinks, too many. Conversation moved to the subject of student debt and saving for college for our kids. The husband said he is still paying on his student loans since his parents didn't help pay for much, and my wife blurted out something like, "Yeah, mine didn't either," and she immediately went dark red. Now, I knew that she doesn't have any student loans, and I had assumed her parents had paid for most of it. She also had a job waiting tables, or so I thought, but there was no way she would have been able to pay for all of school doing that. I also noticed her friend looking very uncomfortable and they were exchanging looks. But I let it be, and the conversation moved on to other subjects and they eventually left. After they had left I asked my wife what that was all about, and she immediately started crying, sobbing. She told me she was so sorry she hadn't told me before, but that while she went to college she worked as an escort to pay herself through school. She had wanted to tell me when we got back together, she said, but she was too ashamed, and thought I would have dumped her if she did. So she had just left it all behind, she said. Was completely caught off guard by this. I asked how she even got into that, and she said she was introduced to an agency by another student she had befriended at the school, and it went from there. In the beginning it had only been once or twice a month, but since she needed the money she had done it some more, but seemed vague and avoiding about telling me how much. I pressed her on how much she had been doing it, and she eventually said she'd done it a couple of times a week the last 3 years of school. So that's hundreds of times, starting when she was still a teenager. I was so shocked. She cried and asked if I could forgive her. She said she had been fully tested before we got back together, and had tested regularly while working. I said it wasn't cheating since we weren't together at the time, so there isn't anything to forgive. I tried to console her, but she kept on crying uncontrollably. I asked if there was anything else she wanted to tell me, and she cried some more, and eventually said yes, she had also done porn. I was like, what? And she told me her agency had referred her to some porn company in Florida, and they flew her down there for a week. She did 4 scenes and flew back home. She had only done it this one time, she said. She kept crying, and I was completely shell-shocked at this point, but I tried my best to calm her down and said it is okay, I still love her and so on. Eventually she stopped crying and we went to sleep without another word. Well, I didn't sleep much. We didn't talk about it the next day, and the next day after that, she asked me if I was okay and if I wanted to talk, but I said no, I don't really feel like talking about it. She asked me again if I still loved her, and I said I did. And I do. I can't picture my life without her. But I'm having a very hard time with this, to be honest. It's been more than a week, and I can't stop thinking about it. I feel like I don't know her at all. I keep thinking about those 4 scenes and that they're probably still out there for anyone to see. I keep thinking about her going to hotels and meeting random guys. I want to know more, but I don't think I can handle knowing more. But I can't get it out of my head. It's all I think about. We haven't had sex since this conversation. I want to move on, I want to get past this, but how? She didn't cheat on me, but it almost feels like she did. I can't help it. What can I do? Anyone else experience something like this? How did you deal with it? Too long didn't read. My wife of 5 years told me she had worked as an escort while going to college. She's also done some porn. I can't get past it. Edit. Thank you all for your thoughts. I really appreciate most of the comments. I need a break from this right now. It's just too much, and I'm at work actually skeptical. Man, I wish I had gotten to this earlier. My wife was a prostitute before I met her. She told me up front, so it is different, but if you see this reply, and I will go into detail about how I processed this info. Not gonna type 1,000+ words on a post that already has 50 comments and Op has not replied to any of them yet. Thanks for your reply. I would very much love to get your input! Exclamation mark. It kinda seems like she waited till the point when you were so in love with her that you wouldn't care anymore. If she thought you wouldn't care, she would have been upfront about it. However, that's not the thing that bothers me. The thing that bothers me is that she didn't tell you until she had to because she slipped up. This situation begs two questions. Would she have ever told you? What else could she be possibly hiding? I hope you make the right decision for you, but you should take your blinders off for a second and look at this from the perspective of a different man. Honestly, at minimum, you should consider marriage counseling. That is a huge bombshell that she should have been honest with you about before marrying you, and finding out she's been hiding something that big has probably damaged your trust in her. Honestly, you should consider seeing a marriage counselor or a therapist or something to help you work through those emotions. Don't force yourself to make a decision right now. Don't set a quick timetable for you to get over it. Don't tell yourself you have to feel a certain way. Don't tell yourself that you have to get past it. Give yourself more time to process this. A week would not be near enough time for me. I, 16F, was invited to a gangbang. Basically last night a bunch of senior guys from my school added me to a group chat on Instagram. The conversation went like this: I'll be using fake names. Justin, yo, me, hi, question mark. Jake, in the 10th right? Me, yes. Justin, we got to ask you SMTH. Me, okay. Justin, you wanna have a gangbang? Question mark. Me, WTF. Jake, we're FRL. I left the group chat. Tyler added me back to the group chat. Jake, why you leave? Me, I don't want to. Ark, we'll low-key rape you. Jake, what bro, why do you say stuff like that? What be wrong? I left the group chat. That last comment scared me so much. What if they actually try to rape me? Question mark. Report to parents, the police, their parents and everyone else who will listen. This is disgusting. Tell your parents, a teacher, someone you trust. Take screenshots and show them. If they add you to any more group chats, take screenshots and say nothing, and then leave. And then tell your trusted adult. You cannot deal with this alone. It may seem like overkill to you, but this has the potential to be dangerous. At minimum it's fucking disgusting and you need support for it. All the best. Can you get a screenshot of that? You need to show it to an adult you trust. Please tell an adult about this. Adding that this is a sex crime. Given the ages and the threat/joke of rape, please tell an adult. These boys need to take shit like that seriously. Report this, like everyone else is saying, then never go anywhere near those guys. If one of them is invited to a party, skip that party. If one of you invites you to a dance, skip that dance. These guys are not safe to be around. You should warn people. My 21F, former housemate, 22 meters, sexually assaulted me. Should I tell my roommates? 21F, 19F, TW, rape, sexual assault. Hi. So, I'm 21F, a junior in college, and I used to live in a house with 6 guys and 2 other girls, until about a month ago. Long story short, there were a lot of issues going on with the guys in the house, interpersonal issues, COVID issues, etc., and I and my 2 roommates, 21F, 19F, decided to move out. The 3 of us now live together in an apartment. One of the guys in our old house, let's call him Stan, was a real problem for all of us girls. We all moved in at separate times, and each time one of us came, Stan made it his mission to obsess over each of us. The 21F moved in first, and he flocked to her. They became super close super fast, and he was kind of flirty and touchy, until he met her boyfriend. 19F moved in next, and he got creepy, super touchy, always wanting to be around her, told the other girl that he liked 19F, tried to make advances toward her even after she shut him down. Everyone else in the house told him to stop. It never did, but I suppose it got better. Then I moved in, last August. Which of course, I didn't know any of this had been happening. I didn't know any of the other housemates before moving in. Most people didn't know each other, but 21F and 19F were friends before. I met Stan and I thought he was great. He tried so hard to get to know me, to be my first friend in the house, to spend time with me, to make me feel special. Of course, a couple months later I'd find out that he's the most manipulative, selfish, sociopathic person I've ever met. Really wish I was exaggerating here. But I trusted him, and I liked him a lot, despite the other two girls clearly not liking him. But I didn't understand, he was so nice, and so fun to be around. I thought they were just finicky, and they didn't understand him. Looking back now, I wish I wasn't so blind. It's so clear how he was manipulating me, and how much he changed my ideas about other housemates. He made me cancel plans with other people for him. He helped convince me to break up with my former boyfriend, who I was dating when I moved in. But I was so blind to it. Fast forward to October. The whole house was drinking and having a great time. I quickly became the most drunk I've ever been, and experienced my first blackout. I remember bits and pieces, but not all of it. I remember Stan putting me to bed, but in his bed. I was confused but so tired and so drunk that I didn't think much of it. He left and I fell asleep. I woke up later with him on top of me, but I was still out of it. I knew what was happening, but I couldn't do anything. I don't know if I even spoke. I woke up again at 4 AM, wearing his clothes, and incredibly sore. I went to my bedroom and tried not to think about it. In January, I talked to him about it and asked him what he did to me. He screamed and cried. He denied it, but he ended up telling me it did happen. Since then, us three girls have moved out and into our own place. We're really close, and they're the sweetest people I know. But I haven't given them any indication that this happened, and it's eating me alive. Partly because I feel guilty, but mostly because it's so difficult to live with. I think about it every day. I haven't been sleeping well recently. I dream about it. Stan and our other former housemates come up in conversation a lot, and whenever they talk about him, I freeze. Think about it again. I want to tell them so that we can stop talking about him, but I'm really afraid of what they'll think. I don't want them to think I went behind their back and did something with him intentionally. I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want them to hate me, because they hate him. I can't lose them, but I know that they'll have a reaction. But we're in this apartment for the next 4 months, and we already have a house together for next year. What if they don't want to be around me? What if they think they can't trust me? I don't know what to do. It's not imperative to our friendship for me to tell them, but I feel like if I hold it in any longer I might collapse. Any advice would be appreciated. Please leave all your rape apologist comments at the door. Thanks in advance. Too long didn't read. I used to live in a house with 6 guys and 2 other girls. One of the guys was super manipulative and ended up harping me. I want to tell the other girls, for my own sanity, but I don't know if I should, for the sake of our relationship.